afternoon to all of you. In the half an hour that I think I have, I'll try to wind up as early as possible because I know all of you are waiting for your prize distribution. First, I would like to thank your management and the President, Mr. Thakur, Mr. Rajan Basu, for inviting me, and all the dignitaries on the stage and sitting in the front row. You've heard about the film called Around the World in 40 Days. When we were young, we had seen it. So I intend to take you around the globe in 40 minutes. So it'll be a very fast movement because these sessions are taken in 2.5 hours, which I intend to finish in 30 or 35 minutes. So we are discussing good governance and removal of distress and pain through teachings of Gita and ancient scriptures, which include Islamic scriptures, Buddhist, Christian, all of them. Now, how we can be successful in our day-to-day life and work. Most of you must have got the sheet I have given. I think most of you have got it, so please refer to the chart which is there. To show to the chart, if you can see the chart, I think this is not. In the chart, you will see it's marked in yellow. These are the four problems that we face every day according to the Shastras. Now, I start with the problems. As you can see, those who have the document, it is easier, that we have the 4 distresses, that is birth, death, old age, and disease. This is something we can't change. And due to this above painful, miserable process of disease and old age, this planet is also called the planet of misery. The second point is the 3 miseries, Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, Adidevik. According to our Shastras, this is also something we can't do anything about. See, in life, you have to know what are your constants and what are your variables. In police life, most of the police work, most of the things are variables. Constants are very few. A few cars, a few constables, a police station, but the variables are much more. Unknown, unending number of politicians directing you. Then you have other power centers. So variables are more. Similarly in life, if these 3 miseries are there, it's very difficult to get out of it. Then I'll deal more regarding this Adidevik, Adibhautik, Adhyatmik is 3. Adhyatmik means the things which come from outside. And Adibhautik from neighbors, from society, from people around you. And Adidevik is like earthquakes, famines, floods, droughts. But we pause here for a second, and first I would like to present before you what have we given planet Earth before we go to the scriptures for guidance. We have given planet Earth the following evils. There's extreme inequality in the world today. And for that you can only go through the sheet which I have given you. You can see the extreme inequality. If you see India itself, we have the highest global ranking in bribery in all public services. Ease of starting business in India is 130th out of 190 nations. Then we have tax evasion. 3% of Indians only pay income tax, and bankers are merrily giving non-performing asset loans to whoever, to all are sundry. So the richest 1% of India hold 60% of India's wealth today. If that gives us a lot of happiness of 70 years. Now, second what we have given, can we go back to the chart? So extreme inequality, not only in India, all over the globe. Then you see the only industry which has thrived on planet Earth is constant war and factories of weapon production. We can't give more details because time constraint. And then third, grave pollution crisis and greenhouse emissions on the entire planet. And fourth, and the most unfortunate part, is there's been a breakdown and malfunctioning of most institutions set up in the last 100 years. Now, if we come back to the chart again, you see Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, if you read the Canto 12 of the Bhagavad Puran, you'll be reading today's newspaper. You don't have to open Nostradamus. You don't have to go to Bhrigu Santa. You don't have to go to an astrologer. It tells in vivid details what kind of rulers we'll be having in this Kali Yuga. When did this Yuga start? It started 5,000 years back after Mahabharata, and it will continue for 4,32,000 years. And there will be only pain and misery as the times go on. Now, here in the shlokas, it is said, I read one or two of them, that unauthorized, uncivilized men will take the reins of power. The rulers will be uncharitable. They will have fierce tempers and believe in irreligion and falsity. The kings will be like highway bandits, and the people in general will be dedicated to low occupations, and all social classes will become like Shudras. It also says wealth alone will be considered the sign of man's good birth, and a person clever at juggling words will be considered a learned scholar, and hypocrisy will be accepted as a virtue. This is written thousands of years back. It seems like reading today's Telegraph or Times of India. And political leaders will virtually consume the citizens, and the so-called priests and intellectuals will be devoted to their bellies and genitals. I add here, there's a small bit, that one person, a Christian head, has mentioned very clearly these very problems. So you see how the different religions are coming to the same point. According to Pope Francis, he says in 2014 he spoke to his bishops and he warned them that don't fall in the trap of disease of excessive doing activity, working over hard. We Indians are used to working very hard, whereas in Europe they work only 35 hours a week, and if you work more you will be deported also. So working harder does not mean success. Pope Francis sees the disease as those who possess heart of stone and a hard shoulder. This is mostly with, I think, our police services. Disease of spiritual Alzheimer. I don't believe in dharma. I have got a Gita in the house. I'll read it after my retirement. अभी तो बच्चे हैं, पोता पोती को कौन देखेगा? You push back till you are on a deathbed. The disease of backbiting, murmuring, and gossip. This is considered a virtue in America by none other than Jeff Bezos, the Amazon head. If you are a good backbiter, you rise higher in Amazon. He talks about Darwinism. Now, I'll come to that also after a while. Then, disease of indifference to others. Public services today, indifferent. Whether you want a permit or a license or a hospital card, then disease of close circles. We all are guilty of having favorites around us. And that happens the fall. All political leaders have fallen because of the small coterie they work along with. He says, more importantly, no outside institution should impose its view on regulating family size or ideological colonization. The first Pope is talking about not trying to spread Christianity or conversion. So you see, now if I go back to the chart, Kali Yuga I have not finished. I'll rush through Kali Yuga, although it takes a lot of time. But as you can see, I'll show you some of the problems which our Indian society is facing. Prison population, homelessness, crime, hunger. So unemployment below poverty line, 400 million. Then slum population. We have the reverse migration, sanitation. There are a lot of figures which could have been given, but I'll just come to what President Pranab Mukherjee has to say. Our president said in the CII Skill Training Center, India's population is 130 crore. Half of this population is below 25 years of age, and its working age is this. He said there were 36,000 colleges producing graduates in India, but a large number of pass-outs were unemployable. How does it feel when these prize winners hear that 80% of the Indian graduates are unemployable? This is a study done by the All India Center for Technical Education. The same goes for engineers, same goes for accountants and all of them. He says that 2/3 of the children who enter school will work in jobs that cannot be imagined right now. It's like Indians who go to America and clean the floors of Kennedy International or London Airport. And they say that I'm doing very well. So we have to keep this in mind. Now, in Kali Yuga, there'll also be a breakdown of institutions which I mentioned. Whatever we have set up will also be eaten up from within. If you see the legislature, before I go on to the legislature, AICTE said these are the areas where Indian graduates are lacking behind all global graduates. So what we are lacking are Indian students, customer orientation, people skill, communication skill, business strategy, global outlook. And global outlook, if you ask any student prize winner, how much of India is irrigated, he will not be able to say. What is the percentage of coverage of Bijli, Sadak and Pani? Electricity coverage, then road coverage to the villages, number of villages in India. Even if you ask them what is Article 370, what is Brexit, what is South China Sea problem, very difficult to get answers. So these are the areas our students who are in front of us must sharpen themselves to get good jobs and keep it. Otherwise, like in Sector 5, what Flipkart and Infosys and all are doing, they are going to give you deferred letters of intent. That is, we have hired you, you don't call us, we call you. Old American saying. So we have to get out of this trap. So now, institutions. Today, in the last general election, it has been found, our parliament today has the highest number of politicians with criminal records elected to the Indian parliament. There you are. These are not our figures, these are figures of the government. And 186 of the newly elected MPs have confessed in the election affidavit, they have criminal cases against them. Political corruption. 70% of income of political parties from unknown sources. We know that because a lot of it has been coming in the papers. And between 2006 and 2016, income of political parties jumped from 300 to 600%. This is Kali Yuga. This is not to demean any department or any institution. It is to show where are we heading. My department, law enforcement. Look at the terrible state of affairs in India. Conviction rate. Close to half the people arrested for crime under the IPC are brought to trial, ending up avoiding punishment. You see Bengal. Out of 100 criminals, only 15 will be convicted, rest will come out and commit crime again. In fact, it's only Kerala and Tamil Nadu and even UP, which are way ahead. As you say, out of percentage is 58% in UP get convicted, in Tamil Nadu and Kerala it's 80% and above. Judiciary. Mannan Kumar Mishra, senior advocate and chairman of Bar Council of India, says 60% of our lawyers are fake. I'm only quoting, unquoting. So next time you go to a lawyer, please check up his credentials. Now you come to healthcare. According to the 2011 Lancet study, every year 4 crore Indians fall under the poverty line, under BPL, due to medical expenses. Government offices. India tops Asia Pacific nations in bribery rate. Nearly 7 in 10 Indians have access to public services had to pay a bribe. Which are the areas? The areas are government healthcare, documents, public schools, police, etc. Doing business in India, we have already mentioned, and Indian firms also have to pay 50% of total project cost for real estate and infrastructure. This is the World Economic Forum report. So, is this only in India? No, it's a global phenomenon. What I'm trying to get to you, Kali Yuga and this state of affairs is a global phenomenon. In America, divorce rate doubles every year. The teenager suicide rate triples every year. The recorded violent crime quadruples every year. Prison population quintuples every year. In fact, if anybody goes to USA, I would suggest don't go to Disneyland. Please ask them to show them one of their jails instead of seeing it in movies. Because I think the largest number of jails are in America. And percentages of babies born to unmarried mothers sextuples 6 times every year. Now Jeff Bezos, he talks of the philosophy. He was #1 performing CEO in 2014. In 1 year, he fell to 87th, according to the ESG, Environmental Social Governance Performance. According to his company, what he believes in, email will be sent to you after midnight. Work till you weep. No harmony at workplace. Disagree and clip into others' idea. Marathon cell conferences. Work at home. On vacation, keep your internet open. And try not to sleep for 4 days in a stretch. The number of Indians who have collapsed while working is phenomenal. I can give a lot of individual examples. It will take a lot of time. They just went home to take a shower after 4 days and they collapsed. Google has a similar policy. Google will give you everything, but you can't go home. You have to, if you want to sleep, you go to the car park and sleep in their small Maruti van and come back to the workplace. But the workplace has the A-class cafeteria, a lovely laundrette, everything. But don't go home. Now, art of happiness. So, see, global phenomenon, as you see the chart, there's only one door open for all of us in the present age. That is karma and guna, which we call it the art of happiness. How to be happy in this terrible situation and state of affairs. It's no use going through the 4 Vedas, the 18 Puranas or 108 Upanishads. The most important Purana is the Bhagavad Puran, which has the essence of all. And the most important Upanishad is the Gita Upanishad, which gives, it's a manual for good governance and good living. And the basic Srimad Bhagavatam believes in only 4 principles: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. These are, now I've come to Sanatan Dharma. The 4 principles of Sanatan Dharma. As you can see, these are the 4 principles. So simple to follow our Shastra. It's not complicated. You don't have to go through the 700 shlokas of Gita. You don't have to go through the 18,000 shlokas of Bhagavad Puran. You don't have to go through 4 lakh shlokas of the 4 Vedas, which are not relevant today. They were relevant in earlier age. What does Gita actually tell us? That we have to change. What is good karma? All of us think we are doing very good karma. I work very hard from 10 to 5. Now what you're doing in the office is a different thing. For us in the police station, if we are chasing away public and telling them, get lost, likhe niye ashben. Janen na erong ei time ashe na, khub byasto achi. That is good karma. So you must try to, so what is good karma is, I mentioned the Gita chapter and the shloka number. First you have to do your prescribed duties. Then you have to lead a controlled life, those 4 principles. Then you have to discharge your prescribed duties without claiming ownership. What happened to Satyam Ramlingam? What happened to Vijay Mallya? Because they thought they owned the banks. They thought they owned the banks. Because they thought public money was their money. Because the bankers, the managers were just lending them money without checking up their background. So that is the work of a good company secretary, a good chartered accountant, a good cost accountant. What were the company secretaries doing when these companies were looting 9 lakh crores from the bank? Our money, your money. No answer has been given till now. So anyway, this is without claiming ownership means like a bank cashier. A bank cashier cannot take back the bank, but he counts all the money. That's not his money. And follow rules of Krishna consciousness and work towards purification. So the main important thing is we have 3 gunas. I'll show you the 3 gunas. Most of us are in the Rajasic guna. 95% people are in Rajasic. Rajasic guna means one who wants to work very hard, one who believes in backbiting, one who believes in cutthroat competition. He has to reach the top. I can't help giving examples of Vijay Mallya and all. These are the people who always wanted to get to the, or Christian Lagarde of the IMF Bank, of Srinivas, Bane. These are the people who have reached the top, very powerful people. But they didn't follow the principles. They were Rajasic. So Rajasic and Tamas have to go to Sattvic. And this is Tamasic. And Sattvic is who follows the principles of the scriptures. Scripture doesn't mean you go in a corner. Scripture does not say you go to the Himalayas. Scripture says that you must follow some good human values. Now, what is a good human value? Now, I can't have an interactive session here, but what is the difference between us and the animal world? Unfortunately, we are all becoming animalistic. The animal world, they believe in eating, sleeping, producing and fighting. Eating, sleeping, producing, fighting. That's humans also do. The only difference with us humans are that we have a higher consciousness and higher intelligence. And that is why we can move ahead. But the animals cannot. They are bound by these 4. So they never sin. According to the Shastra, animal world does not sin because they have a fixed dharma. So that brings me, we are, according to the Gita, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are sent on planet Earth or the material world to purify ourselves when we start competing with the Supreme Lord. But unfortunately, when we come here, the Supreme Lord stays in our heart as a witness. But we, instead of looking after the soul, when they mean the heart, I mean the soul, instead of developing the soul, we don't feed the soul, we feed the material body. Now, this is a very favorite example of the parrot and the cage. We are mostly cleaning the cage and not feeding the parrot or the fish. The fish, if you give it red wine, the fish will not like it. If you give it money, it won't like it. It wants water. So our soul wants to go back to Godhead, that is to a higher planet, and we don't want to. We are fighting. This war is between the spirit and matter. 2nd chapter of the Gita. What is spirit and what is matter? So we have to know this. Now, this can be done, which Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, through mind and sense control. It's very simple how you can control your mind and sense. If you are a passenger of the car, then the steering wheel and the driver are very important. The engine are the senses. Will tell you to do this, tell you to do everything which you want to do, but you should not be doing. But the steering wheel is the driver is the intelligence and the steering wheel is the mind. You'll see a lot of advertisement, mera man karta tha. But the mind is a very mischievous element in our body and it has to be controlled, kept under control. So that can be done only when we follow the principles of Krishna consciousness or the principles in the Gita. Now the most important part of the Gita is the mantra meditation. A lot of importance has been given on the mantra meditation. Why mantra? The Hare Krishna mantra is spoken. I'll just quote one part from Daniel Coleman, who is an editor of Psychology Today, that it purifies the body. Constant chanting of mantras purify. Now which mantra? You can take any mantra. A lot of people chant the Gayatri mantra without being a Brahman Diksha. That is absolutely will have bad effect, retro effect. So you should be careful what mantra you are chanting. You might want to chant Om Bhubha Swaha or Trambakam Yajamahem or any of the others. But is it allowed in the scriptures in this age? That is what you have to see. Vegetarianism is a very important part of the Shastra. Extremely important. Please remember, vegetarian food, why importance is given, I'll just speak one or two lines. Just to tell to you that when you have non-vegetarian food, it's a dead carcass. Remember two things. Our teeth is not carnivorous. It's flat. Our intestine is 28 feet long. So whatever dead matter you eat, whether human being or animal, remains in your intestine for 12 to 14 hours, thus releasing toxins. And normally non-vegetarian people, most of them should be getting cancer, especially bowel and rectal cancer. Next, what is very important in the Shastra? See, these are very relevant. Sleep. We don't think about sleep. We are very proud when we say we sleep less. I give the example of Margaret Thatcher. That powerful iron lady used to say, sleeping is for idiots and foolish people. How did she die? How many of you know? How many of you know that she didn't know the way to her toilet before she died? She had high Alzheimer and Parkinson's. So we are bringing dementia in today. India has the largest number of dementia, by the way, because we are working very hard. We think we are doing so great. So remember, when you don't sleep early and don't wake up early, you are playing with your circadian rhythm. Those who are doctors here will understand. And your melatonin production in your body will be low. And thus, creating problems for you. None other than only person who's realized that we Indians overwork is none other than our past president Abdul Kalam. What does he say? He says, work is a never-ending process. A person who stays late at office is not a hard-working person. He's a fool who does not know how to manage work within the stipulated time. He is inefficient and incompetent in his work. So, overworking will never get you what you want. Another thing, again in our society, guidance of spiritual masters. We have Dhirendra Brahmacharis, Chandra Swamis, Oshos, Asharam Babu, and Jayendra Saraswati, Nityanand, you name it, there are so many of them. Be careful of fake gurus. Any guru who takes money, anyone who says you can eat and do whatever you like, just take my name, just give me money. Be careful. In fact, in the globe, it is these fake gurus who have spoiled the name of Sanatan Dharma. We have to be very careful. So, when you follow those 4 principles, do your mantra chanting, and you lead your life according to, without claiming ownership, thinking that you own the company or you know how to bypass everyone. You are not in cutthroat competition. What do you become? You become a perfect corporate executive, a devotee corporate executive. What are your qualities? These are the Bhagavad Gita chapter and the sloka. Memory will work like a computer. There will be austerity in speech. You know, the entire Mahabharat war started because Draupadi just said one line, Andha ka beta andha. And that was responsible for lakhs and lakhs of people being killed. And that is when Duryodhan took a vow, I'll destroy my family and the others also. So austerity in speech, very important, especially for us Indians. We love to talk. Then prescribed duties, never have favorites, what ought to be done and what not to be done. You'll understand when you follow those principles in the Gita. Narayan Murthy talks about the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. If you read the Narayan Murthy Infosys, now that is what you have to see. In 80% of your time, if you are only getting 20% of your work done, that day's work is a failure. It should be the other way around. So learn about this Pareto principle. Now I'll give you some examples before I wind up in another 5 minutes. Japan, they have done very well. The Japanese believe in Nichiren Doshinen Buddhism. 12 million Japanese believe in Nichiren Doshinen Buddhism, which believes is a part of Sanatan Dharma. They believe in Lotus Sutra. They believe in the 10 worlds, gunas. They believe in law of karma and retribution. They believe in human resolution. And their main principle, which is taught in most of the company secretary, chartered accountant colleges, are Kyosi, their principle of Kyosi. All people, regardless of race, religion, and culture, harmoniously live and work together. Kyosi is a Japanese technique of spirit of cooperation. You carry anyone with you. In Bengal, I remember, I was SP Midnapur around 10 years back, and Mitsubishi had just been set up in Midnapur, so in near Kolaghat, in Haldia. So when I used to visit them, I found their working principles, the chairman, the working people, all used to eat together, stay together, and they had a constant, interaction. And they follow all the values. Do you know that to go ahead, in Olympics, the Olympics Association has found that the Japanese, when they attend a game, when they come out of the game, they clean up the stands and then come out. Not only that, there are many other things. When the Fukushima thing took place, tragedy, at that time, people deposited valuables found on the streets and the houses after the earthquake. And average Japanese reduced his purchase of household items so that it could be made available to the victims. These principles are none other than the Sanatana Dharma principle, which are embodied in Buddhism also. The second example is South Africa. In South Africa, there's a 1,000-hill city near Johannesburg. There chanting was done for a long time. And after that, it was found that the criminals, they themselves said that, I know we can't run away from the law, that we want to surrender. And they did it. It sounds unusual, even for a cop like me. It's like a believe it or not, but it happened. Indonesia. The Sriwijaya University of Indonesia did a study, and they found that the Muslim managers who apply good attitudes and behaviors in organization, and they enhance their personal quality in the organization around them, those who follow the Islamic tenets, they found to be better managers. Out of all the managers, 247 were shortlisted. Now coming to how to energize you. Who are the people following these principles of Gita? None other than, just see, Amitabh Bachchan. You know his lifestyle? No drinking, no smoking, no coffee, no tea, pure vegetarian. His most important quotation is, I'm absolutely stunned by the inept and complete disregard to discipline in areas where it is most required. Mr. Rangaswamy was speaking about making life simple. See how simple this icon has made his life. And doing the same thing again and again at regular intervals. See Akshay Kumar. Akshay Kumar sleeps at 10 p.m., wakes at 4 a.m., no work beyond 8 hours, all Sundays off, 4 films a year, and 1 week holiday. Who are the people who went to jail and started reading the Gita? None other than Lalu Yadav, none other than Sanjay Dutt, D.G. Vanzara, and Jagannath Mishra. And of course, among the devotees, how can I forget another icon? That is Rajni Tendulkar and Sachin Tendulkar, who follow these principles. So they may be billionaires, but they follow a very simple lifestyle. By saying this, I hope I've been able to communicate to you the importance of how the Bhagavad Puran and the Gita are a manual for good governance in your life. You don't want to become like those, with the names I started with, you don't want to become Satyam Ramlingam, you don't want to become a Sarada, Narada, or a Vijay Mallya. So don't be greedy, follow the principles. What you deserve, you will get in your lifetime. Thank you very much.